Welcome back to the channel, and the biggest question right now is, between Norgannon's Disc and Judgment of Death, which one should you invest in first? And among all the artifact cores and artifact powers available, what is the optimal combination for a warrior build? In this video, I'll break down each option based on what I've personally experienced in the game, so you can apply the build right away without wasting resources figuring everything out yourself. Before getting into the build, let me quickly explain the basic mechanics so everyone can follow along. Each artifact consists of multiple small nodes and one large node. To activate the large node, you must activate all of the small nodes first. This order is fixed, so you can't skip ahead. The activation material is Conduction crystal, and if you don't have enough, you can use artifact energy to exchange for more. However, the exchange cost increases with each purchase, so don't spend your energy carelessly and make sure you plan your resources properly. One thing I really like about this system is the reset mechanic. If you activate the wrong nodes, you can simply reset them and recover all of the conduction crystal you spent, meaning you don't permanently lose anything. As for embedding, activated small nodes can equip artifact powers, while the large node can equip an artifact core. And most importantly, removing a power or core to replace it with another one is completely free. So honestly, this is a very flexible system that encourages you to experiment with different builds without worrying about wasting resources. Feel free to test different combinations and see what works best for you. Now let's get back to the main question. Which artifact is best suited for Warrior? To answer that, we need to take another look at Warrior's skill set. As you can see, Warrior is heavily focused on survivability and sustained AoE damage. Whirlwind hits nearby enemies 5 times in a row and restores 8% HP. Heavy Strike has an incredible 379% damage rate along with a 95% healing rate. Shield Slam deals damage while also generating a shield for yourself, and Shield Wall delivers 7 consecutive hits across the area. Looking at the kit as a whole, I don't see Warrior as a class designed to instantly burst an enemy down with one massive attack. Instead, Warrior is built to stay in the fight, deal continuous damage, and constantly heal itself while absorbing incoming damage. That's exactly why, when choosing an artifact, my goal isn't simply to increase damage. More importantly, I want to amplify the healing and shield effects that are already built into Warrior's skills, turning the class into a frontline machine that is incredibly difficult to take down. Playing mobile games on your phone is great, but after about 30 minutes, your phone gets hot as a piece of charcoal, the battery drains like crazy, and not to mention the tiny screen causing you to misclick skills over and over again. If you're dealing with the same problems, stop for a few seconds because this is the solution I've been using for the past year. That solution is playing mobile games right on your PC with BlueStacks, one of the most popular and best optimized Android emulators available today. Instead of putting your expensive phone through all that stress, you can bring your entire mobile game library to a large PC screen and play all day without worrying about running out of battery or damaging your phone. So, what do I like most about BlueStacks? First, the super flexible keymapping. Use your mouse to activate skills, move around with the standard WASD keys just like in a real PC game, with extremely fast response times. Second, the multi-instance feature. You can run multiple accounts at the same time, making it incredibly convenient to farm materials or grind alt accounts without having to buy another phone. Third, performance optimization. It supports high FPS and sharp graphics while using your computer's resources efficiently, so even a mid-range PC can run games smoothly. Overall, if you want to take your gaming experience to the next level and grind the rankings smoothly without worrying about damaging your phone, BlueStacks is definitely a must-have software. I've left the official and completely free download link right below in the description and pinned in the comments. Go ahead and download it and give it a try today. Now let's take a closer look at Norgannon's Disc. This artifact focuses on enhancing basic skills, and what I like most about it is that it lets you customize your playstyle through the Titan data embedded into the large node. Among the 4 Titan data options, the one I value the most is Titan Data Analysis. Its effect gives each skill a 15% chance to apply one of 4 debuffs, Burn, Bleed, Slow, or Paralysis, to the target for 5 seconds. Based on the number of different debuffs currently affecting the target, you can then restore HP once, with the healing amount equal to 1% plus an additional 0.5% for each active debuff. It may sound small at first, but think about using Whirlwind with 5 consecutive hits or Shield Wall with 7 hits. The frequency of these debuffs and healing triggers can add up very quickly, turning Warrior into a tank that constantly restores HP while fighting surrounded by enemies. For that reason, this is my #1 choice for farming mobs or running dungeons with large groups of enemies. The second option on Norgannon's disc is Titan Data, Shielding, which I think is better suited for bosses with heavy single-target damage. Whenever one of your talent skills creates a healing or shielding effect, you gain an additional shield equal to 10% of your maximum HP. If your HP is below 50%, that shield is doubled to 20%. Since Warrior already has several skills that provide healing and shielding, such as Heavy Strike and Shield Slam, this additional layer of protection is extremely useful during long fights. It gives you much more room to survive unexpected bursts of damage from bosses and makes the class even more difficult to take down. As for the other two Titan Data options, Overload and Restoration, I honestly don't think they stand out as much for Warrior. Overload gives you a chance to trigger an additional basic skill after using a core or tactical skill, which sounds good for increasing damage, but it doesn't directly support Warrior's biggest strength, which is survivability. Restoration requires your talent skill to hit the same target 8 times before triggering its healing effect. That condition can be difficult to achieve consistently in actual combat, especially when you're fighting groups of enemies and targets are constantly moving around. So, overall, I would place both of these options below Analysis and Shielding. Moving on to Judgment of Death, this artifact is focused on enhancing core skills, and its biggest strength comes from the Scourge Legion options. In my opinion, Scourge Legion Spear Wall is the best choice for Warrior when farming maps or training against groups of enemies. The mechanic is very straightforward. Whenever you use a basic skill or core skill and hit a total of 5 or more targets, you immediately restore 15% of your HP. Since Warrior constantly uses Whirlwind or Shield Slam in the middle of enemy groups, reaching 5 targets is usually very easy, meaning you can trigger this healing repeatedly throughout the fight. This makes it especially effective for fast farming and crowded dungeons. On the other hand, if you frequently fight single bosses with very few targets, Scourge Legion Mountain Formation makes more sense. It activates when you hit fewer than 5 targets and restores through 3% HP each time. The healing is obviously lower, but it gives you a more consistent source of sustain during single-target boss fights. As for Shield Guard and Counterattack, these are more focused on tactical skills and ultimate skills, such as Ancient Bloodline and Avatar. Since both skills have relatively long cooldowns of around 21 seconds, their effects trigger much less frequently compared to a build centered around basic and core skills. Because of that, I wouldn't prioritize these two options for Warrior unless you're specifically running a build designed around those ultimate skills. For the artifact power embedded into the small nodes, I would simply prioritize the highest quality powers you have available, such as red or yellow. Since you can't use duplicate artifact powers across the small nodes, there isn't really much room for a complicated strategy here. Just use your strongest available powers and replace them whenever you obtain better ones. As for the artifact power slots on Judgment of Death, it currently has 6 slots, while there are only 4 available artifact powers, and I was able to activate all of them. So I'm not entirely sure whether the system will allow those additional 2 slots to use duplicate powers. If that is possible, I would recommend using additional Power Nexus to further maximize Warrior's damage output. If you're building Warrior right now, the next step is to directly compare Norgannon's Disc and Judgment of Death and decide which one should be your first investment, depending on whether you're mainly farming groups of enemies or pushing single-target boss content. To sum everything up, if I had to choose the most optimal setup for most PvE situations, especially when farming groups of enemies, I would go with Norgannon's Disc combined with Titan Data analysis together with Power Nexus. If you're dealing with large groups of enemies in crowded dungeons, Judgment of Death with Scourge Legion, Spear Wall can provide even more impressive healing and sustain. And when you're facing a single high-damage boss, Titan Data, Shielding, or Mountain Formation would be the safer choices to improve your survivability. What I really want to emphasize is that the system allows you to reset nodes and remove embedded powers or cores for free. So don't be afraid to switch between these options depending on the content you're playing. You don't have to stick with one build for every situation. That's everything from my analysis of the best artifact choices for Warrior based on my experience in the game. What artifact setup are you currently using for Warrior, and how effective has it been for you? Let me know in the comments so we can compare different builds and strategies. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming artifact guides for other classes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.